Yeah. The call to order. Yeah.
You need a motion to approve the minutes. To approve the minutes. My motion.
Okay,
Take a vote on that.
oh, can we vote call to order?
No, for approve the minutes.
Approval of minutes?
I vote yes.
Okay.
Aye.
Yes. Yes.
Then you say all opposed.
All opposed?
Mike looks opposed. I'm joking. She's doing great, Mike, isn't she? She's doing great.
He's like happy he's off the hook.
I don't know how to use that mute, non-mute button. I never did.
Yeah, like, I'm
Okay.
We-
None opposed?
No question. No.
Okay, cool. Visitor comments.
Jerry, come on up and why don't you have a seat at the table and
Right.
I just take a quick moment, I turn it to Bud to make this introduction since he's our representative from the chamber, so.
Yes, Jerry Rosen is our new executive director of the Chamber of Commerce. He's been with us just a few weeks now, and we are so glad to have him. His background is very impressive. Graduate from WashU 2 years back. But he also mentors business students at the old school business. He lived from here originally, but he lived at Illinois, Chicago, a long time ago, and took a job at the Chicago Cubs. No, like Red Sox.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, right.
That's ET, not the other. He's started a lot of businesses, grew them, sold them. He's been a CEO in places, a CFO in places. Just a remarkable man. Like I said, he mentors business school students at WashU too in spare time. We're glad to have him.
That's
Thank
nice
you.
to hear in the morning.
It's a little overwhelming, but, thank you. I can't say enough, how, warm and welcoming everyone has been over the last, several weeks. So I'm trying to find my footing. As Bud said, you know, I was retired at the end of 2022, so I sat on the sidelines for a year trying to find, you know, a purpose, find a reason for being. And, you know, business is in my blood. I understand it. I like to say I made a career out of untying knots. And I think all business owners at some point find their businesses in knots and need, you know, a little bit of help and perspective, you know, to be able to untie them. So, you know, the main calling for the Chamber of Commerce, I think, is to provide value to business. And understand what your needs are and the needs of the city, to help continue to grow. And, you know, provide, you know, the resources that are, you know, essential. One thing I've discovered real quickly, and I know I've only got like about a minute here, but it's to find relevance. As I've just done some walking in the streets and I learned more from just meeting business owners and walking through our communities and asking a simple question, what's important to you when it comes to the Chamber of Commerce? Well, a younger generation doesn't even understand what a Chamber of Commerce is. So we have to reposition and rethink how we approach them and our membership. So relevance is critical. I also want to, you know, I'll kind of end with, you know, you know, we're an event chamber where I look at it as we've got pillar events, 3 pillar events a year. And then we have filler events, 3 filler events every month. So our pillars are obviously we've got the Heart of the Community awards banquet, which is coming up on April 26th. We just announced our winners that went up on our website. We contacted everyone. I'm really thrilled. Hope everybody goes to the website and sees and can come to the event, which is terrific. Secondly is we got the golf tournament in October at Forest Park. And then we have our Santa's on the Loose run come, you know, around Christmas. But our 3 fillers during the month, we have our Coffee and Connections, which is the first Friday of every month where, you know, like this, we get together at 8 o'clock in the morning, just network. And then we have Lunch and Connections, which is the 3rd Thursday. And then the last Thursday, we stack them on top of each other. We have our happy hour, which is tonight over at X Golf. So anybody who feels inclined to take a swing and meet some folks. So thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be a guest.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Should I retreat to my seat?
We have room, I think we can find it. But David, did you want to say comments as well?
Come
Please.
sit, come on. Come on, sit
Done
together.
that perfectly, by the way.
Brand,
3 minutes, Fran?
Yeah, he did it perfectly.
Okay, quick. This is an opportunity I want to share. It won't cost you a penny and you don't have to lift a finger. It's the best kind. And you can help out a bunch of kids in Webster Groves. A bunch of kids in Webster Groves are putting together a new kids club called The Sustainables. It's borrowed from the movie The Incredibles, The Sustainables Kids Club. It's really a kid-driven club. This is their logo. It was developed by an 8th grade girl in Webster, Audrey Jackson. It says kids protecting and creating a better world, the Sustainables. And I'm gonna be meeting with Tim Delaney because we'll be making some early t-shirts at the Mash Pit. But the inspiration for the Sustainables came from a 10-year-old 5th grader at Avery. His name's Rex Zoswick, who's very environmentally conscious. But he basically got mad about the amount of plastic in the world. He went home and he wrote a message on a piece of typing paper that said, "No more plastic in Webster. It is poisoning our earth." And then he got his dad's staple gun. He ran 60 copies and he rode his bike, mostly around like the Casino Park neighborhood. And he stapled them up to 60 telephone poles. Now, parents saw this and it was posted on Facebook and there was tons of positive comments. So we thought, well, can we expand that? Because it's not technology, it's not texting, it's not email and stuff. It's doing it the old fashioned way. But I contacted Captain Perks and said, is there an ordinance against putting stuff up on telephone poles? And there is. And so, because they get ripped out. So instead of doing that, and again, when they're up on telephone poles, you have to face the elements. If it rains, if they come down, can we post their signs and messages in the windows of the stores? So kids would visit the stores, introduce themselves, shake your hands, look in your eyes and say, can we post our message in your window? And they can be either 8.5 by 11 or 11 by 17, okay? But they will be different messages from kids about the environment and positive messages and things to think about. And what's so interesting, Jerry's a marketer, is that back in the 1950s, there was the marketers and educators got together to answer a question, how many exposures to a new message does it take to learn it? Back then, the answer was 3. This is where 3+ media planning came from. University of California, Berkeley did the same study, same question, and found out it took 17 to 19 exposures to learn it because we're bombarded with stuff. So the thing is, if we can post these signs
Wrap it up.
in different windows of businesses, it won't cost you a penny. There'll be a repetition and stuff, and the kids will get this club off the ground.
I think as a business owner, send them around. I'd be happy to put one in my window. I can imagine what the
Yeah.
business owners would say the same.
100%.
Yeah, that'd be great. So thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you. 3 minutes.
Good job. Good job. All right.
I
Brand's
just have-
timekeeper.
I just have a question to
Yes.
tie into that,
Yeah, please.
because there is a lot of trash around, like when you drive down 44 through Webster and stuff, like, what is the city doing to deter people from littering? Not just in business districts, but it doesn't make the business districts look good.
Sure. Well, so
So that's a question.
deterring littering, that's a great question. I mean, outside of ordinance law or littering
Right,
fines and such, I mean, you can do educational messages and things like that. The efficacy of that has been judged many times. Many people view it different ways, if it's good or not, the educational messages that cities post, you know, and such about littering. The city obviously in the districts has the trash cans and such. On 44, freeway littering has always been an issue in America, as I think everyone knows. It's also a state's responsibility to clean that up. So that's always a different understanding of responsibilities. And so we generally don't put your tax money into that space simply because you're already paying tax money to the state to be put into that space.
Right, but wouldn't it be the city's responsibility to make sure that the state is cleaning up the
Nope.
areas? that
We have
should be
no
cleaned up?
power to do that. We can call, it's just like the railroad. We can send strongly worded letters and complain, but that, they don't have to listen to us. In fact, they usually, the legislature tells us what to do. So they are sovereign, we are not. So to use the S word. So we have a response. We can complain, but that doesn't mean they're gonna do it. We complain all the time to the state about many things.
Mhm.
And that's much like the railroads. Secretary Buttigieg, to give you a sense of the railroads, says I'm the only person in America that can get the railroads to call me back. That's what he said in DC the last couple weeks we were back, and because they won't call us back, I mean, across from here,
Oh,
it
it's
took
so
letters and letters and letters to get them to come in and just simply mow down, which still isn't very pretty, just to
Oh, yeah.
chomp that down.
Yeah.
You know, that was 8 letters in 2 years, and
Oh.
on top of phone calls and feedback forms and everything like that, so
Mhm.
the state's no different in regards to that.
I just think it's sad that this is not the first group of kids that's banded together to clean up trash in our city. And we're all adults and we see it, so we should probably also be trying to do something about it too, is all I'm trying to say.
So,
It is a good one.
You know that on your agenda?
I know. All right, old business, we've got budget.
Budget, you have a lot of documents, so we're gonna walk through things first, and then we'll dive into the discussion about it. So let me get them all up on the screen so our friends can see them as well. Let's get out of Blue Dot for you and get into budget. So starting with this document, get this out of your way so you can all. This is the BDC budget, meaning your budget as a commission for money that you can say, we're gonna have an event, things like that. There's 2 differences in your budget. We have what you control as the commission, and then the sort of business development world, you're making recommendations on how to use, okay? What we've entered, subject to your conversations here, coming off of what Tammy had originally submitted, which we did send out to you all. This is her document that she submitted by email to us. It's in your packet. We entered business coffee expenses. Obviously, you have 2. We put that in at 1,000 because you've been getting 1,000. Tammy had it at 300, but I put it in at 1,000 since that's what you've been getting. And then if you look down to, and Tammy's bottom note was the open, what you should call it, the one Webster options investigations. We kept money for the potential CID meeting costs, meaning that if your subcommittee comes to wanting to do some more intense meetings about that topic outside the coffees, any materials, conversations, I put in a request of 3,000, and I just put them in 2 different lines, 2,000 in events and 1,000 in advertising. We can move that around as you determine what those expenses are, but essentially 3,000 in the commission's budget for that concept, since it's still a recommendation forming and coming up out of your group here. So that would give the commission a $4,000 budget. On Tammy's, I'll go to Tammy's, I know I'm bouncing around, but on existing things, Fran's cost, the secretary minutes and records, holiday advertising, and the communication support, which I want to talk about, but let's just say that's all in public affairs already. So that's already in a different budget to cover those existing costs. So that's why you're not seeing them on the documents here. The work in Webster has been in the ARP budget. I've added that in a different budget. You'll see that in a second. So the point being is you don't see it in your budget in the commission because you don't have actual control over those day-to-day budgets for those functions. We pay Fran out of a different budget and such like that already. You obviously make recommendations about them, but it's a difference of the recommendations versus executing authority. That's the commission budget. Do I have the same document twice? Of course I do. Why would that not be? Well, we'll find this document I'm looking for. Did I put the same link in twice? What we got here? I did. I'll pull up the other budget in a second here. I'll find it. The other budget is the things like we did for Work in Webster Groves. We did the green dining program this past year and the special initiative fund. I'm gonna pull it up in 2 seconds and pull it up for you all. But I just wanted to say that that's a budget where I think Tammy's made some recommendations. I put the possibility of the HELCON, which is the big sheet in front of you. The media funding, for Shop Local, in that world as well, because obviously the city would work somewhat within public affairs and that the person that will replace Jenny Starkey's role with that. So I'll pull that budget up, but my point is it's in a separate budget from the commission, right? There's an operational aspect. So you're recommending we should do this function and the budget would be included in where that function would belong. So
Thanks.
I apologize that you didn't get that. I thought we had that up there, but I will. 2 seconds, you'll all watch me navigate through the budget system here, so.
You won't look at your password, don't worry.
That's fine, password, this is password stored on this one, so. You're all gonna see the backside of this to make it very simple and easy to get to, so let me get in it. We've created a whole new. It's out of the way. A whole new line, and I'll get this to you, Fran, as well, but we've created business development as a separate program in the city. So just like finance is a program and IT is a program, business development has never been a program, a standalone entity. There's no staff in it, obviously, because there's no staff members, but we do have that we can go and use that budget, that space. So this is the backside, but you'll be able to see everything that you would see on the piece of paper. So here is where we will have Fran's administrative cost as well. So you can see that's this one here is $245 a month. That's what she paid for this work with BDC. The other one is from Old Webster. You can ignore that. It's irrelevant to your conversation today. And then in advertising, we have the Work in Webster Groves promotion, the ambassador campaign, which I'll talk about, that we've added. Holiday advertising, that's your, from Old Webster, excuse me. Holiday advertising here, winter promotion, that's the 10,000, the existing. So 10,500 is what we put in there, the general fund. And then we've got other things that have been in public affairs that are related to the business directory that the Chamber of Commerce puts out has been in public affairs. We moved to this budget. These are things that you have not requested, that staff is moving to align to the business development program. In relation to Tammy's request, we have the conversation about HELCON, and then, which is in this page. This went out by email, so I think folks should have got this. I don't know why I'm not pulling it up. This is just interesting. So, Stacy, did you guys get this? You have this at home? That's a spreadsheet says on top BDC budget request, independent of commission budget. Or Mike, did you see that?
My links when I looked yesterday were kind of doubled.
And were they double again?
Mhm.
Well, I'm sorry. I'll get this out right now as I'll find it in my list of spreadsheets here, but my point being is, for those in the room, and I'll pull it up on the screen, we have a request from Tammy to put some extra costs in. One is work in maintenance, Work in Webster Groves. If we look at the top, A, B, C, and D, and E. E is us, the staff have put that in. Tammy made some requests about Shop Local, which I think we need to talk about, right? So that's where the bulk of our conversation is gonna be, I think is what I'm getting at. I know this is somewhat disjointed. I'm gonna find this sheet and get it on the screen so you can all see it, and then we'll be able to talk about it. But Madam Chair, I'll turn it back to you to start walking through these if we can, so.
Okay, so the advertising marketing piece, I think there's just so much muddy waters over like whose responsibility is what. I feel like it is so much on the city, but the BDC keeps saying we want more. So I guess I'm just asking, what is our possibility to even do that here? Like, should we even hire a marketing company to work for us if the city's already doing their own? Right, what are your thoughts on that?
That seems kind of redundant.
It seems redundant, but it also does seem like we need more. And I know the social media issue is, pending with a new hire, but what can we do to kind of bridge that gap between the BDC and that person? Moving forward, now that we are getting a new one.
Stacy's got her hand up as well, and then I can comment as well.
I actually spoke with Tammy about this a couple of weeks ago about maybe there's something we could add into a SID or a request for a subsidy from us or something to be able to, when they hire the new person that will take over what Jenny Starkey was doing, that we could pay them like 10,000 extra dollars to be able to hire somebody as an assistant super part-time to help run the social media aspect.
I think that's a great idea. It could be almost like a mini liaison, like that we've been asking for, like the business liaison to the city could be that kind of person.
Yeah, there really does need to be an employee of the city doing, business, social media stuff, that can't just be on us.
And then we would just put together something that we have our expectations for that person that we would like done per month, and the city can somehow make sure that person's held accountable or for that.
Eric, in your opinion, what are the,
So I think, let me step back from people, okay? And Stacey, you brought this up, I think we talked about what brand, right? Okay, people come to the city, I mean, the city has a whole world of communication needs that are city, right? You know what I mean? And most people don't look at their city website and wherever you live. I don't go to the city of St. Louis to find out about business opportunities unless I want to open a business generally, right? So the city brand is not usually the first focus of folks in terms of a business function, other than the regulatory permitting environment, things like that may be going on. Shopping local, if you think of St. Louis, you think of Greater St. Louis. Pam, I'm looking at you to remember some names here as well. There's a lot of other different functions. We don't have any of those funding functions built in here. We do have Explore Webster Groves, which I know I'm popping around here, but let me see if I can't find my website.
I do think people engage with Explore Webster Groves.
They do, and this is where I'm getting at, because I know Tammy talked a lot about Shop Local, and there's Explore right there. So this is the other side that we've built, this brand of Explore Webster Groves, and this will get into the QR code and everything. Explore Webster Groves gets some of the attention of public affairs, right? As we have things, we put things up. If we get Girls Night Out, Fran sent that information in, we update Girls Night Out, you put it on the Explore calendar, a highlight here on the news and announcements. The Shop Local initiative, whether it be a contractor or another person, could certainly help supplement that area, right? It's still fundamentally, even if you're going to say, because there's no other funding entity, there's no tourism tax that like Explore St. Louis gets and such. You're still ending up with the city funding it. It's just the focus of the communication is different, right? And it's a different concept of, we're telling generally pertinent government information, emergency information and such. And it's a pivot for us to think about, okay, now how do we talk about attraction and,
Right.
to both tourism attraction and shopping attraction and such, so.
Okay, I think this is what we need. But then how do we work that into our budget request?
Certainly, so I think a couple things to that point, and one, work in Webster Groves, I think we can park to the side. We know there's promotion of that, but that's built into the system in some ways. The business newsletter, Tammy's request, I'll go back so you can all see this page that we pulled up. I don't think there's really a cost of the creation of that. It's really about content, right? I mean, and that's, and are you all committing to help write content, or are we having somebody?
I think this new
Again,
mystery person.
Right, if it's a person, right, but let's say it's not. City council doesn't say we're gonna add money for people. If that happens, if this is a need, who's helping to write that content and switch that frame of, our public affairs person has to walk in two worlds there. You know what I'm saying? And so it's tough to creatively switch that frame sometimes.
So
So,
here's a question.
yep.
Can we just, can Fran take on more? Like, can we give Fran like
Sure, but we have
a
to-
large
we-
raise and Najee?
I'll write a newsletter, but it's like, is that?
Yeah. So, yes. So, I mean,
You know what I mean?
we can do that, all of that, yes. The point being, I think what I'm getting at
What to
is
put in it.
what to put in it,
Right,
what your expectations are, but then also ownership of that. I mean, we can't come back to a committee every week or month, and get a newsletter approved, so.
I think we need somebody who is specialized in social media marketing and stuff for businesses. We don't need, somebody who does public affairs to manage all that city stuff, like that is, like you're saying, a whole thing that they have to do
Yeah,
that's
not their
different than what we need.
responsibility, yeah.
So how do we?
It is in the way that no one else owns that now. So I mean, that's the only reason it's public affairs responsibility now is because we don't have any difference. It's always been run through the city function.
And I
Stacey, I
feel,
don't know if that was a.
Yeah. I do believe that this person needs to be hired to be the assistant to the public affairs. So like if Jenny Starkey was still in that position, Jenny Starkey always said she was so busy and there was so much more she could have been doing if she had an assistant. And the city just flat out could not have pay for a full-time assistant for Jen Starkey. So my thought is, what if we offer the city some money so when that position is filled, we can help that person hire an assistant to solely focus on the business district engagement.
just as a question though, I mean, us offering the city some money, but aren't we getting the money from the
Yeah,
city?
yeah, so unless, I think Stacy's probably saying that in somewhat of a SID concept,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
So if there was that funding stream, then you're offering money, right? Because
Right.
that's different money. But
Mhm.
right now, the way things exist, you're really saying to the city, spend some of your money in this role for us. So I mean, but either way, that's okay.
Yeah.
If that's your recommendation, that's fine. We can build that in. I think that speaks then to C, and really to C is the big chunk of what Tammy brought. And then I'll explain briefly E, which Jenny and I had started on when she was here and what that is. So
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
and that's a
Yeah.
use, go ahead, Jerry.
I'm just tiptoeing in here.
Yes.
Is there, I mean, this is music to my ears. Isn't there collaboration with the chamber? An opportunity to do this? I mean, I'm actively recruiting some interns right now that are exactly what I'm hearing. Social media, you know, they understand the influencer market so that you get that third party credibility, and outreach, so.
I mean, that's amazing.
Can I share something real quick? Yeah, this is the Business Development Committee. You've got Weimar Creative on Gore and Beanstalk on Nudie, who are both local businesses, and they're really good at what they do. And I bet you could work out a deal with them.
they don't discount.
So we have already
not sure
talked to
about
one
that,
marketing
Stacey.
company
No.
that is local. And so it's like, do we want to go with, until a SID is in place, if that happens, you know, we can't work on that now. We don't have a SID. Do we do Halcon? Do we get an assistant for new public affairs person?
Yeah, what's the status of getting a new Jenny?
So the new Jenny's in recruitment. We'll turn back to this one. We have interviews on Wednesday the 10th. So we had well over 50 applications for the job. So I mean, we have a long list of people that are very interested in the role. Huge experience, right? Again, there's just a lot on the plate, right? And the expectation has been the city handles these big functions, which is fine, except you're gonna get small amounts of work for a lot of functions because there's too many functions across the plate. And this, whereas the larger regional things have an outside entity, Explore St. Louis, Greater St. Louis, to really backfill those business development type areas, we really don't have anything. The chamber in the past has been great partners to help promote. Business Coffee is a recent one, you know, that we really did a lot of work with, but there's not been a formalized chamber is gonna be this voice for us, or this other entity is gonna be this voice, or we're gonna keep the voice and hire a contractor to do it. We've had creative entourage in the past. Jenny really filled that role and took it over, you know, and gave us exactly what we would be getting out of it, right? And so if we're really gonna take it to the next level, how do we do that in operational?
Should we start with Halcon to kind of set it up and then this assistant potentially person could take over?
What I would encourage you all to do is make them, my recommendation to staff is to put money in, and if you want to make a recommendation on staff to do so, I think once we know what the person is, right? I mean, because we've got people from the private sector, like people from government, public information type sectors in this pool. So you're gonna see what is the skill mix of that person who's gonna be your day-to-day manager of those functions, and then we can figure out how best do we supplement. Is it a person on board sits here as another staff? Is it a contract agency and such along the way?
I really think you need to keep it in-house because it's hard to understand if you're not from Webster, it's kind of hard to understand how Webster's set up and that it's not like one big long street of businesses. So it's almost like keeping it local would be, I would think the only way to go.
I agree, but I also think it needs to be somebody who is specialized in this and not just so
Yeah.
like, let's throw it at an admin person to just handle, cause it needs dedicated.
I
I
also-
think I have a couple questions.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Oh, I also think it's so important too that though the chamber is so wonderful for Webster Groves, we could all agree on that. The messaging from the city, the Explore Webster Groves, that needs to be almost, it's coming from an employee of its own entity within the city. I think if we start requesting outside businesses like the chamber or another company, that we will lose that. I mean, I don't know how the Explore Webster Groves is licensed, but I think using that is so important for that position.
I agree.
I think it's an established brand. It's really not licensed. It's literally just a brand owned by the city. I think this gets, we get to the QR codes. I see Explore Webster Groves as really being that other name of the city, right? If we're gonna drive people to consider tourism or, why shop here at events and such, Explore Webster Groves is really that brand, a product, really, right? We're Unilever as the city, and one product is the city. And then, here, I'm making the joke about corporate, but we have a product as well called Explore Webster Groves, right? And, we're a corporate entity really branding a product.
I think I love it, cause it's like you explore, not just like one area. I mean, it makes sense. But again, like if that message comes from the Chamber of Commerce, then people in Shrewsbury or Rock Hill are gonna get jealous, you know what I mean? I don't
They can start putting some money in the chamber then, but I do,
Well,
so I do, and I want to be just fair to the chamber. They've been some of our best partners in a lot of this promotion. So there is, I think, opportunity for partnership and further,
oh, yeah.
I'm gonna call it like tendons and ligaments, good sinuous tissue to really bind us together in partnership. But I think your point is, we don't have anyone in staff other than the public affairs person to manage both brands, the
Right.
city and Explore Webster Groves.
Yeah.
So.
Pam,
how
I
do we-
think. and I
Oh, yeah, I
don't
did
have-
have a couple questions. Shop local, I do think we need to remind ourselves that we can tap into the greater St. Louis Love Local resources for that. And I didn't know if that was included in this idea or not. And then also second line, C, monthly fees of 1,500. Did you want to extend that out for 12 months or?
Yeah, sorry, thank you. That was my fault. So it's actually,
That's a lot more.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's $6,000, right? Not 6,000, 12,000,
Correct.
$18,000.
Yeah, yeah.
Do some math there.
Uh-huh. That
That's,
changes things.
it does. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's a much bigger request. So I misread the quote and typing in the budget. So this is Helcon, what they talked about, what you're seeing in C, this page. This is them running it. I think we heard this proposal at one point. It really doesn't, I think, tap in the other resources, right? It probably supplements them. They would do some social media work, some branding, special website. May use the same hashtags, the love local, the stuff from Greater St. Louis, but I think this bid was really give you a shop local space, right? And a whole new website. I don't know if we need that. I'm not speaking against it. I can see some merits of it but Explore Webster Groves does exist. Like we do have that function built in.
Right, okay.
The D, I'm just scrolling on this page, is Helcon set some things up. We don't get the monthly business coaching. We essentially get social media posts that in-house and some help from them at 23,000. So C is, yes, much bigger. It's 18,000. So it's really $30,000 for C annually.
32,785.
There you go, 32,785. There you go.
Accounting.
Thank you. Quick accounting over here and not realizing the.
Who is Julie Tristan?
So E,
Yeah, that's a lot too.
this is what we had started. So our holiday advertising, we do a lot with KEZK. She is the morning personality on KEZK. So this is an ambassador
Got
campaign
it.
that we would own across Odyssey. An ambassador means that you get dedicated exclusivity. So you think if you listen to a morning show, whatever morning show, Howard Stern, I'll just use the big one. Howard Stern does a live radio thing about Coke, the drink, Coca-Cola. That's an ambassador. And so these are live radio ads. Julie lives in Shrewsbury. She's here often in Webster Groves. And she would essentially be doing live Explore Webster Groves brand promotion. So this was where Jenny and I had started this conversation with the Explore Webster Groves brand, that brand, how do you promote that brand both for business, but also to drag, customers and foot traffic in, to use the Odyssey world in terms of radio, that this would be our major investment in that media market. Now, there's many media markets. We really probably aren't gonna get into TV right away, but trying to own a space in radio and have a brand dedication in that space, not the right word. Obviously, gonna still have to have do digital and social media and other things. So E is the annual cost for those endorsements, and it could be about events. It's not just about Explore Webster Groves. It's what events we have going on. You build in Jazz Fest, you build in street dance, the holiday stroll, the gazebo series and things like that. If you have a restaurant, if we're featuring a restaurant, you can do that. If we're doing girls' night out, she talks about that live. So the copy changes, but that's the base buy. And then if the other budget was, if you're going to have specialized ambassador money for events. So if Jazz Fest is going to get an extra blow up of advertising out of that, that's in that E2 line, the second line there.
$66,000 seems like a lot of money for us to spend on the radio.
That's like, do radio personnel make that much money? Cause that's insane.
That's a cheap budget.
Wow.
If
I
you're,
think you could literally hire an entire person to be a social media person
Right.
and just focus on Explore Webster Groves for
that's true.
all 5 of those.
You
know what I mean?
You can use that money in that way. This is the question about the goal of advertising. So I mean, you're shaking your head, but
Yeah.
if we're supposed to be in many different medias, you're going to pay for many different medias.
You can also sponsor a show
Right.
on NPR or
Yep.
something, and that could be
Right.
brought to you.
Which we did for a couple weeks for Working Webster Groves. That was about 8,000.
Mhm.
So for like about a 3-week run on NPR. So I mean, if you're gonna be in radio, I'm just being very clear, right? We looked at brand promotion. You're welcome to opine on this, staff certainly has an idea, but what markets are you gonna be in? If we're just gonna be in social media and digital advertising, that's fine. But you do leave a whole market space off, right? People, when they're driving, they shouldn't be on social media. Generally, they're hearing the world off of radio. So
I have heard some of the Webster stuff on the radio and it does always catch my ear and,
Right.
and I'm not that big of a radio listener and even I've
Sure.
heard it, so.
that was the first question we asked. Are people still listening to radio? And I'm still shocked at how much radio still gets listenership. So
NPR for sure.
this is just one idea, but to give you a sense, like, when you really get into how are you gonna mix the media markets and be in the different channels, you're not talking small, right? And you could fund a person for a lot of that. 66 gets you pretty close to a full-time person with all their benefits.
Right.
Well, that's what I'm saying, like. I just think it would be better spent on a person. Instead,
Person doesn't get you any exposure, other than maybe,
Well, there
but you still have to buy all the ads on social media.
There's
All
a
you're
lot of
getting-
organic marketing that I think
There
still
is.
works.
There is, yes.
Oh, yeah,
Okay, yes.
Stacey has her-
Oh, sorry, Stacey.
I just have a question. Is this the same budget we used last year? Because I agree. I was gonna say with Julia that I heard it on the radio a lot last fall and holiday.
Mhm.
Is this something new or is this?
This is new. So the 10,000 you heard on radio, that's 10,000 dedicated to the period of really.
Oh, see, that was
November.
enough to me. That was plenty. That was,
yeah,
Well, so,
you heard
yes,
it, I heard it, we all heard it. I don't think we need to.
You only
spend
get that for
more.
the holiday. So
Yeah.
this is the question, right? I mean, we've heard not just from you, but from other businesses. What are you doing the other times? What are you doing when it's not
Right.
the time when people are gonna
That
show up to
is-
shop, right? What are you doing to help me in Q1 when no
Yeah.
one's shopping because they're in that, that doldrum? So.
Yeah.
So we're trying to find answers to that question for you as well. That's where these stuff come from.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, how obnoxious would it be for us to ask for both?
So the staff, so E is already built into the request of the manager. You don't have to ask for it.
Okay.
Staff have put that together. Not saying it's gonna happen, it's just in the request, so.
So how much generally should we request details aside of who's doing it for a marketing assistant or company? 30,000?
I think you're probably in the range of about 30,000 by the time you consider that. So I'll use Helcon's bid. I'm no problem stealing other people's work here. So as I find where Helcon's bid went, here it is. So, they really, for that 30,000, you were buying $18,000 worth of ads and getting $12,000 worth of support.
Yeah, so the material is more expensive than labor.
Exactly. So if you want that, essentially, what do they have? 2 social medias monthly and 2 digital advertisings. You
That's
can
not
put,
much.
it's not much when you stop and think about it.
Yeah.
So
Not much.
no. The $10,000 cost, I mean, when you think of an employee, part-time, if you're unbenefited, you're probably at least 15 an hour. How many hours? It's gonna be 15,000 for a half-time person, 1,040 hours a year, so.
The 30,000 is enough.
30,000's on the minimum side, I think.
I would say put 45 in.
And then the city could say,
Stacy's your hand still
You
up.
want them
right
to be
Oh,
paid.
sorry.
Yeah.
there? Okay, just wanted to.
Supporting our business development.
I had a question. Do we see Jenny's new role changing since it's changed from director to manager?
I think there's a little bit of change, so one, it's not, that fits better structurally in the organization, which is a director of, a director under a director type of thing,
Yeah.
but, I think the bigger change is that a couple of the extra pieces that she had that weren't really public affairs have been pulled off,
Okay.
right? So I think there's some ease in that regard. I don't think it's gonna slow down in terms of city stuff, right? I
Mhm.
mean, this election cycle's full. Prop W passes, there's a lot of 5-year work there, just educating and informing and engaging the community about those building projects. You have the strategic plan, all the communication we have to do from the city about just our work as the city, much less than the outside brand of the Explorer Webster Growth.
how do we ensure that this assistant person is solely dedicated to this project and doesn't get wrapped up into all of
That's it.
assisting that higher ups and for all of those other things?
Well, death and taxes are the only things that are assured in life, right? So,
Or like,
no, I understand the point.
can we have them sit on the BDC?
Well, certainly, we can have, we can't have them sit on. We're
They can
permit,
come
we're,
to the meeting.
they can come, anyone come to the meeting, yes, so we can have them come to the meeting and such, yes. I
Okay.
think it's really, what you're talking about is building the scope of the job, correct, once it's approved, right, and such, and I don't see management, if the council approves that. That said, we all in the city get pulled in a little different ways as
Sure.
things flex, but, there's no way, the charter, the way the citizens have voted, have set it up, is ultimately the manager has to move people around and such. There's no assurance I can give you that it's always gonna 100% be just for this. But I think if you make the recommendation clearly, if the council understands that in general, we try to keep people in the roles that it's really intended for.
And keep that communication open
Oh,
between the
absolutely,
BDC and that
Absolutely,
specific person.
And pay them well, and be nice.
So
And
should we
don't
say
talk to them directly.
45,000 or 30,000? Can we ask for
You can
45?
ask for whatever.
And
you
the
want
city
for that.
can come back and say how
We
much
will,
is 30?
we will, yes.
Let's ask for 45, I think.
Oh, yeah.
And just to understand this a little bit more, this is what we're putting towards it. The city is still gonna put some money towards this person as well.
Well, I'll be
correct?
very clear, you have no money to put towards it.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean,
That's
we're
always saying that.
requesting
Yes.
just to be
yes.
towards it. Is this request only coming? I mean, like, will the city add more money to that position as well? Or is this just what we're requesting as the base start? And what, tell me about that. Sorry.
I think the city could add, I mean, the city could expand the position if we decided it was a full-time position, we could certainly add to it. I don't think there's a distinction between what you're requesting in terms of money and what the city could add. It's the same money ultimately. I think it's really the scoping of what do we want the person to do? What is their roles and responsibilities and how much time do they need to do that, right? On top of what are we buying from the outside? What does that person create and buy in terms of digital or social, or other product or other markets, so.
And we can always start here and then the next year be like, we need more. It's a
Certainly,
success.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah. Oh,
you
yeah.
can always say that. You can say that even outside of marketing. You can say like, hey, we need more public works people to pick up trash, I'm just giving an example.
Every day, am I allowed to say that? Can I tell you that?
Yes.
Oh, I think we need more public works people. Actually, I was thinking, we need someone like you to be like the business director, like, just like nice friendly face who drives around in a golf cart with the city of Webster Groves on it. And you communicate to the city, hey, there's a lot of trash over here. These trash cans are full. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think I would give them
We do get about 10 of those a day from the public,
calls.
usually through the feedback on the email, on the website, yeah, so. They go right to Public Works and we send people out to pick up the trash if it's in.
I'm just saying, if you had a friendly face,
An ambassador?
driving, like an ambassador for the business district, just driving around, even to help with things like breaking down the Jazz Fest, we always have problems with that, you know what I mean? Like, little things like that, I think that's what makes the difference in a city.
Tammy, that's a SID cost usually. That, in other cities where you see downtown ambassadors, that's what a SID is usually helping to bring about.
Well, there you go, you're on the subcommittee for SID, so
See,
there you go.
There you go.
okay, thank you for moving people, it's a great meeting.
Okay.
I just-
Is any-
So I just want to come back and clarify. So we had this budget request, which you all saw, which is your, yep, there we go. Your budget as the commission is this amount. That's for 4,000 for events, and then the SID 3,000 for potential developments. That was just literally an estimate between Tammy and I. That's where that came from. And then everything that already exists is in another budget, but then you're adding 45,000 for this person and for stuff. I'm gonna need someone to, I'm calling it stuff, right? We're buying social media or digital advertising. You're gonna need someone to help write that piece of the recommendation other than what I just said.
I can do that.
Okay. I wanna make
Um,
sure everyone was good with that and make sure since this is your budget meeting, so.
Does anybody else have any other input on things that we should add to the budget before it's time to submit, which is very soon? No?
Are we taking out anything from the budget? Are we pushing the whole thing? Cause that's my question.
So let me go back to this page so you can all see it. So
guess we do that.
C and D are not gonna go in that way because what you just talked about is a
Right.
version of that, but not like that.
Right, okay.
E wasn't from you. So this,
Right.
I just put E in there as this is from staff. This is not your recommendation. So it's what the manager will see and can deal with and say yes or no. The council can see and say yes or no. Your recommendation will be 45,000 to really do what B, C, D, and pieces of A as well, in terms of promoting that would be.
Awesome.
Are the printouts for the QR code window clings in this as well?
They are not in that. That's part of the next conversation, so.
Oh, sorry,
But that's okay. We're getting.
I
there.
I jumped ahead.
All right, subcommittee updates. We're meeting next Tuesday, election day here, in the Gordon Room at 8:30. We've got a good subcommittee with a diverse group of people from different areas and kinds of businesses, about 8 people currently. I think if any of you guys want to come to that meeting, that would be great too. Yeah, that's all we have there. Baby steps.
That's the CID subcommittee.
CID subcommittee, yes.
I'll be there.
Okay, new business.
What about the business coffee subcommittee?
We have not met.
Don't leave them out.
I know. I left the subcommittee.
Can I encourage you to pick a date?
August will get
For
this sooner
August.
that I can think about already.
Mike and I will discuss and we'll get you a date.
Thank you.
Yep, whatever works for you, Eric. I can make it work.
I'll schedule 9 and we can all discuss it between 4 and 5, so.
Perfect.
Could I suggest another potential subcommittee?
Yeah.
The city just hired these 3 companies to do a major comprehensive plan for the growth and development of the city. And this project will go a year and a half. I mean, it's a huge project. It's a big undertaking. But the role of business in that plan, I think, is fundamental. Because I've lived here 24 years and the #1 business complaint about our business community has been that we deliver a low tax base. Part of the reason that we're gonna have big box stores like Kirkwood does. But there are other reasons as well, but that's always been the criticism. That we deliver a low tax base of our business community. Well, here's a chance to really rethink that and build it into this comprehensive plan. You know, because what's gonna happen where Douglas Hill was, or where Kirkham is, or Watson? I mean, these are all questions that they're gonna be addressing. And business should have a seat at the table, you know, and
I'll agree with
That's
that.
part of the comprehensive
Yeah,
plan.
and so I don't want to take away from what Dave said. You're going to have that opportunity. You don't need to create a subcommittee because there's going to be a special business focus of that and an
Okay.
economic development plan.
good.
So you're going to be invited into that space
Mhm,
conversation.
mhm.
So you don't need to create one of your own.
Can't wait.
New business. Blue dot QR codes.
All right, so Blue Dot QR codes, I'm sharing. First of all, you're gonna get an email with an extra document from Fran later today, but let me share this. So this is the document, or no, I can move this out. And now I just stopped sharing. Going too fast, folks. There we go. Get you all out of here on time. This feedback. That link right there will take you to the business directory. You all can go there. It's public. We haven't told the public that, but it's there. Okay?
Fun.
And so, and I'll take you there and show you in a second, but there's some questions I know we're not gonna answer these today in 10, 5, 6 minutes here to get out of here in time. But these are important questions. Stacy, Tim, folks in Old Orchard, Crossroads especially, but other parts of the districts as well in the business areas. When we talk about QR codes, the intention again was a QR code people can scan and it gives them some version of this directory that opens up a mapping, right? So what areas in Old Webster, if you were in Old Webster, does the Old Webster QR code give you the whole district? Does it give you a piece of the district just in relation to where you're at? How dynamic do you want it? What area pops up on the map? I'll show you what I mean in a minute. And what categories of inclusion? Categories are key. Categories mean what type of business. So is it retail and restaurants? Do you want dentists to pop up? You know, those kinds of questions. We're gonna get to all the filters there. So that's about QR codes. And then the directory itself we have 3 different areas: filters, areas, and categories that we need to define. And I want your feedback. Filters are things like who's open now, meaning that at any time of the day, someone can click that and it's gonna eliminate any business that's closed from the directory in that moment. So if Paisley's closed on a Monday, Stacy, I'm just saying, and they click open now and it's Monday, it's not gonna show up. Because it's not open for that person maybe walking and wanting to go find something. Who's got a job posting, work in Webster Groves? Who takes Webster bucks, right? Because not everyone takes a Webster buck, so they can filter that way. What areas? We obviously know we have 3 defined business districts in the Yorkshire Plaza. That's a very easy 4. But what other areas should we define Zeta Dell? Is it Zeta Dell? Do people know what Zeta Dell is up where Maypop is? That's Maypop, Marshall and Summit, right? So I mean, those namings, right? We want your feedback.
It's the historical name of the area. It's this actual subdivision or town.
Oh, really?
Yes, yes.
You should like make a post about that, you know? The people need to know.
Well,
And then categories I give you from our current business directory on the website. This is the categories you all can pick from. So if you were a dentist office, obviously medical, dental. I look at you, Stacy, and again, or Julia, and we talk about, are you shopping? You know, are you children? Are you many? You know, I mean, there really isn't a good spot for boutiques, for clothing. So we want your help and assistance. What category should we have there? You look at this, where's architects, right? They're sort of stuck in professional services. That's fine. Do you want to get very detailed? Do you want to be hot? So point is, think about that and give some feedback. This sheet you're going to get. All that to say, come away now, you come down here, get out of my way. This is not it. This is the business directory as the public will see it. Now I'm logged in. I've got a couple extra things as admins, but this is what it's going to take you to. This will be embedded in our website, but this is still public right now. You can all go to this, okay? This is, if you don't pick an area and just have Webster Groves, that's what it's going to look like. A lot of blue dots that you're not going to see. So I'm just going to give you a sense.
That's exciting.
It is very exciting. So
Yeah.
1,312 results. That's much more than the 800 that pay for business licenses. So we got some great home-based businesses and other things in there, right? So area, I'm just going to use, I'll grab Old Orchard. Boom, there it pulls itself out, it gives itself a little re-spinning. The list is going to pop up here. And now we've got Old Orchard. Okay,
That is
even
so cool.
that, a lot of dots, right? So what categories do we want to include? Now, I put clothing in, Stacy and Julia talking about boutiques, like, is that a category name we want? That's why the question mark's there, so. Want your help and feedback, I'm just gonna pick food and restaurants. And that's immediately, so if we did QR code for Old Orchard in the district. And, you know, food and restaurants, that's what would pop up in that space, if that's what the QR code went to. So I want your feedback on this, you're gonna have this to work with. The difference is you're not gonna have a login here. You won't see this with your name and such. And you're gonna have some things like unlisted. As an admin, we can see who's chosen not to be listed on the business directory, it's taken themselves off. This is also, will go out to the entire business community. I want you all, if for some reason you don't see yourself or in a wrong spot, you can add your listing. So right now you can go in, got a whole new business. This is how a person adds their new business to the directory. Anybody can do it. It'll come to us. It all gets approved. It's not gonna go out automatically. It'll come into the city. In the history of Blue Dot, they've not had anyone go in and play with other people's accounts. I'm just shocked. Right? So let's make sure Webster's not the first one to have that happen, but Mike, go ahead. You got your hand up.
What about like using retail instead of clothing?
We
Just,
absolutely can do that, yeah. But that again, I think is the question I want to ask retailers. What is, do you want just retail, right? I mean, that could be in a lot of different things, so.
I think you should almost have it mirror exactly like what the trade association does on their application, like the four, boxes you can select from to categorize your business like the city does, so that's.
I mean, if I were to do closing, I would do apparel, women's, men's and kids, and I have to leave at
Okay.
9. Do you mind, these are my
I
announcements.
will. Sorry
You
about
can read that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you can't read that. So.
I actually just
Then-
like straight up retail because then it gives people the opportunity to find something new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want it to be specific because I'd want them to look for retail. Retail is self-described, obviously. And if I were out of town, I would click on retail and I'd be like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that cute little candle shop was there if I was only looking for clothing.
I agree.
That's great. So that feedback, you'll get this form, email it back, give me feedback like that. I take what we got here, but more feedback. If you own a business, I'm just gonna pretend you're Balkan right now. So you open Balkan, anybody can do this, but again, if you're Balkan, you just click on edit. Now, I'm in admin right now, so I can edit a lot of things, but literally, Paisley, Julia, all your businesses, just go find your business, click edit, make whatever changes you want, post a job, change your picture, excuse me. Oftentimes, it's just grabbing the Google Street image of your business, change your logo, things like that. You can do this right now with your own business, and it's gonna flow back to me to update. Go ahead.
To take this off your plate, couldn't this be under the same umbrella as an employee that would be the business direct, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
doesn't that makes sense to
Yeah.
tie it in?
Ultimately, this will, other than identifying the categories,
Mhm.
most of this will be business driven. You all are gonna make your own changes. We don't make those
Right.
changes, right? We'll just have to approve them. The key, for the QR codes is we got to design that collateral, but we need to know, what those spaces are. To the QR codes, Stacy and such, we will, we'll fund the printouts. That's not a problem, and all the collateral. I think what I've heard is that we want Explore Webster Groves to be the brand, right? We don't want it to say shop logo and ignore Explore Webster Groves. Correct? I'm
Yes.
looking around.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, so we will get some designs pulled together. Actually, Chris Westmeyer has volunteered as well down at Digital Strike, to be a part of that as well. So we'll be on brand and have some, not Eric Canva skills of design put together. So
So the four categories on the Old Western Trade Association information sheet is shopping, dining, services, and arts. Which is missing a few things, but
Sure.
to keep it cohesive.
I like your current categories.
Mhm.
do you like the one that just says businesses?
No.
Sorry, Stacy.
I do. Events are gonna be on here as well,
That's
correct?
correct. So you have ability to do promotions that are events. You can do a media gallery, you can post your jobs. All these things here you can put on there, and then we'll have the ability to add to essentially create an event. So like Webster Arts, the art fair down at Eden, we will create it. It'll look like a business, but it's an event. So it'll pop right into the directory. And then we can manage, it exists in the directory for a week, or a month, for promotion and such.
Like the 4th of July.
Yeah. Stacy, does that work? You understand?
Oh, yeah, I'm so excited for this. This is
And so,
long
just
time
real-
coming.
right, and then if you click subscribe.
Yeah.
You can all click subscribe. As changes are made to this, other people, you will get an update. Hey, Webster Groves has got a new business, Paisley, I think Paisley, you're in the right spot, but if you move, it'll update and people will get a notice through us that this change is happening.
That's awesome.
So,
Exciting.
There will also then be a rollout to the community, how to use this, you know, and obviously some background. So we may be looking at a few of you after you've done this to do some, much like we did the charter. Some very short 10-15 second videos about use our new business directory, fun type things for social media. So,
Totally.
Dave.
Because your businesses are hit up multiple times every week for sponsorships,
Mhm.
is there a way that like people seeking sponsors can get on here to just to say, you know, we have this event coming up, we're looking for a sponsor, $5,000.
Don't know, but I can look at that.
And just to see if
Yep.
anybody,
I can look at that.
any takers. you know.
That's a wonderful idea, like a sponsorship request tab.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yes. I love that.
Report to city council. We have to give this thing of what we have accomplished.
You accomplished a lot.
Anybody want to start pitching in ideas? We did the coffee, we did work in Webster.
Yeah, we received feedback from the community to community engagement events.
Did the Blue Dot.
Oh,
Do we
yeah.
get to claim that, Eric?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Sure,
We'll claim that for you, don't worry.
No, that's fine. I don't know. Honestly, I mean, especially if you've got a big request.
Yeah.
You've got products and advancements you made for the business community that media request is supposed to help fund. and
Yeah.
build.
Yeah.
work in Webster Groves, the QR code.
I think you have a lot of things to tell us really between Tammy and Julia, whoever's gonna write it and work with me, the front page we can handle. I'll get you your mission. That's in the easy, fill in the members. It's really, what do you want in text? You know, and these four boxes. So I think
Yeah.
for the members, be in conversation, I'm gonna say, point to Tammy and Julia, get your ideas into them, and then we can work together to scribe out the paragraphs that go in it.
Can I just offer one just as a resident? Is that, you know, the perception was 3 separate business taxing districts that all operate independently. And my sense is that over the last couple of years, you all are really coming together as one business community for the good of Webster. I
We're
think
trying.
it's a real change from where you guys were operating.
Thank you.
Webster Wide Events.
I have no idea what that one was about, so. Am I supposed to do something? I don't think so, but look
I
around.
think, I think Tammy was trying, she had come in at some point like maybe a month ago and was talking about how can we do more events that
Like not
Like,
this mountain.
cross the board.
We'll keep it on the agenda. We'll come back to it next month.
Yeah, I think Tammy I feel like she was talking about something like that.
I think so too. We'll let Tammy speak next week, month.
Well, I will say at the next meeting, I will reveal, I have a new idea for the business community. It's called It's a Wonderful Life in Webster Groves. And it's around the holidays. And it could be really, really unique and cool.
We gotta
So
make
just
sure
a
that
tease.
you have the new assistant's phone number. So you can.
Dave never has a problem finding that
Yeah.
video. so.
Loyal opposition.
Business district updates. To Old Webster.
Tim?
It was all about budget.
Cool. Crossroads, we've got some exciting new businesses coming, so we're excited about that. Still kind of on the hush, for some of them, but it's nice seeing progress. We also did our budget.
Biggest news is the county accepted their full streetscape design
Yes, the
as the
streetscape.
Crossroads wanted.
Yeah.
Wow.
So 2027.
It'll be
Which
here.
is-
But it's
You've tried
good.
for 20 years and the county said no, and now they've agreed, so.
It's very
Yay.
exciting.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's really.
And that's a Renaissance area. You guys are doing a great job.
Totally.
Real quick, I did get this. It's called Missouri Main Street Conference.com. I wanted to ask if you guys are going to that.
So there you go.
Okay, great.
Any news for Old Orchard?
Old Orchard did not meet officially. I know they sort of the same plans as last year. Obviously, Bob Weber has transitioned off. So Angel Benegoni, is that how we say it?
Yes.
From the animal hospital is the new chair. They'll be reporting, but I get, as you all know, a very big sense of eagerness is the right word from some businesses to really energize their version of the trade association, the Merchant and Business Association.
Cool.
Can you say who bought the Weber's building?
I can't, but you just go, ask anyone in Old Orchard.
If you got
and
out
they
of
can
Old
tell you.
Orchard, talk to people, they know.
Okay.
Even though it's the most open secret in the world, I can't say it, so.
Wait, now I feel.
Thank you.
We need to go get some drama, some tea.
City
now.
update on Pam's update was exactly what I want to give. So Pam was a great participant in the National League of Cities, which we do a lot with and gave out some grants to women businesses last year and such. She was really focused on business development while there and attended some great sessions, including one, which I'm working on trying to get permission for you all to attend. It's a virtual, but it's about retail as the catalyst for economic development, not about big box, and malls and that, but like we have here, destination niche retail districts. How do you do them well? Just a basic starter course, but to get us all in the same language and pattern for that, especially looking at comprehensive plan, economic development plan. So hope to get you all a free login for that. And then obviously it's election time. Tuesday is elections. Prop W and charter amendments. The council is doing their work on getting out the vote. The city doesn't say vote yes or no, but the council is going out to tell people to vote. We encourage all of you to vote. You don't have to be in favor or opposed. We're encouraging you to vote. But we would encourage you also as well. We have many social media posts and such up there and things. Share them with people and encourage them to vote on Tuesday. Yes or no, however you feel about it, however people feel about it, it would be sad to have a very low turnout cause issues for yeses or nos, right? I mean, so we want a high turnout and involvement of the community in the election.
And also, Eric, it's not a simple majority.
It's not. So Prop W, the bonding takes 4/7, welcome to Missouri, to pass. So that's 57.14%. So the charter amendments take 50% or a simple majority, but the Prop W takes 57% So that's 4/7. So turnout's important if you support it or oppose it in either fashion. So.
But as comparison, Prop S, the school district, got over 80% of the vote when they, so hopefully.
And most of our park ones get that high. I mean, I think back to the last one was 80% as well, so. But it's about turnout. We want to tell people to go vote. That's the important piece from the city, so.
Cool. Next meeting, April 25th, work for everybody?
Yeah.
That's just one question real quick, as a resident. From a branding standpoint, there are three things that explore Webster, shop local, city of the arts. And it's like, should there be one unified focus branding strategy for Webster Groves and the city? And I don't know what it should be, but all I know is that those three things that are hanging out there.
Oh, Tree City.
Pardon me?
Tree City.
The Tree City, yeah. I
City
mean,
of Trees.
the
I
city of
I
trees.
feel like Explore Webster Groves is the overall title of that and everything else is underneath of it.
Okay.
100%.
Because you're coming in and exploring the city
Yeah.
and in that you find all these wonderful things.
Great.
Just-
Thank you.
Cool. Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Everybody good?
Second.
All in favor?
We got it. Good job. Mike, you did a great job. Thanks.
Okay, so-
Oh, really? That's where